And yes, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for another week of Southern Wrestling Hot Topics and News, the podcast. Thank you all for your continued support. All of you followers out there, the follower count needs to keep growing, so let's keep it shared. And remember, all the latest issues of the magazine are available on Amazon, and the physicals are coming. I promise they're still in production. They're coming. Everybody, I'm Cowboy Cliff Rogers. We all know this by now. If not, where have you been? Hello. Just got off the road. We were filming this on a Sunday, so that means that last night I just competed in a cage match at Warrior Wrestling Alliance. And speaking of Warrior Wrestling Alliance, one of the bigger indies in East Texas, I have with me now a good friend of mine, a guy I trained with. He's a little crazy, and he also competed in a very unique and brutal match type last night. You've probably seen him all over the internet. He's been making waves for the past 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Rika Wildlee joins the show.
Thank you, Cowboy. I appreciate it. I've been waiting to come on the podcast for quite some time. And yes, last night was a brutal match. And I'm feeling it today, I'm not going to lie.
I bet you are. I was watching that from Gorilla, and it was folks, let me just spell it out there for you. Rika competed in a taped fist Lego match. Yes. For all of you parents out there that have kids, you know it sucks stepping on a Lego. Well, their fists were glued full of them. It was him and a guy named Jack Lovecraft, and I've never seen anything quite like that before. That was amazing. It was brutal. I wouldn't want to do it, but man, you did that. You did that.
Look, man. Let it be a lesson to anybody that is trying to come up in the indies or even in wrestling in general. Don't let your mouth overload, because I pitched that match 6.5 months ago before the title even became a thought, and never thinking that they would actually do it. And then last month they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're doing that match you talked about that time one time in random conversation. I'm like, okay, let's do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. You see, I've done something real similar to that. I remember when we first got started, I was telling our coach and trainer Dapper Dan. I don't know if you remember this, but I was just like, man, we got to do a bull rope match, man. Those things are so cool. Those are so cool. Well, next thing you know, I'm wrestling Cowboy Jeremy Young, and he was like, "Oh, did I not tell you it's a bull rope?" And I was like, "Come on!" And he's like, "No, it is. I mean, the commission approved it." I'm like, "What?" So I was like, "I barely know how this guy works. No, last thing I need is him tripping on something or slinging." So yeah, I think I learned it was a bull rope match like 2 days before.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just when Brady came to me, the guy who does all the all the main things in WWA.
The GM.
When he come to me and was like, yeah, the GM, that's right. He come to me and was like, we need some innovative ideas. That's when I, was just off the top of the dome was like, sure. You ever seen John Claude Van Damme's Kickboxer, where they dip their hands in glass? We can do that, but with Legos. And he was like, oh, that's a good idea. We'll put it on the back burner and we'll talk about it later. And that's the last I heard of it until this past month. And he was like, by the way.
Well, yeah, like when you got your hands on that championship, he's like, yeah, you must really want to do that or else you wouldn't have pitched it. It's like, actually, I was pitching it for other people, not necessarily me.
That was before the belt. So I was like, yeah, totally. Anybody else can do that.
Yeah, oh, God. Yeah. Well, Rika, that is not near I mean, that's kind of just scraping the surface of some of the stuff you've done out there, man.
That's true.
You've been around for 4 years now in the scene, and man, you have exploded in that 4 years. I mean, your follower count is through the roof. You've worked a bunch of states, man, like 2 hands worth of states. This guy's been over, and I remember we came in right behind each other, man. I got started as I was learning how to roll and bump and do arm drags and stuff. You were already working shows, but you only had a few, so we were right behind each other. And, between trying to balance everyday life and wrestling life, it took me about 2 years to start getting booked all the time, you know. But man, you just took
Oh
right
yeah,
off.
that first year was, in all reality, all about confidence. Just learning your way to play and play your part in front of an actual crowd, and learning where to be, how to be, and when to be. You know, when it comes match time, and you can do it in front of a crowd in your first couple matches, but as you progress and the crowds get bigger, you get a little more known, more people are coming strictly, to see what you're going to do next. You kind of got to get in that zone to where you're not even thinking about what you're going to do in the match. You just got to understand, whatever I do, they paid to see me. They say they paid to see me be entertaining,
Yeah.
regardless. And that's, you just got to give them their money's worth.
Would you
And
say
that's how I
that
built it.
working the style you work probably makes it a little bit harder because you got to think when people see your size and highlight clips of you doing some of these crazy flips and aerial maneuvers, you're like, well, they're expecting that. So it's like you can't just necessarily you can't take a slow night because they're
Well,
expecting TNA X Division
that's
stuff.
that's true. That's true. But it also, you can look at it on the opposite side of the coin too, is they are expecting that. But when I don't, like the match me and Devontae Adams had in Marksville, I didn't get on the top rope once.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
know,
You did.
yeah, I didn't. I didn't touch the ropes. I didn't. He got on the top rope, and then that was the finish. But I didn't touch the top ropes, and I meant for it to be that way, because I don't want people to box me in. I mean,
Yeah.
I can do the flips, but I don't want to be boxed in. I'm not a big guy. Anybody that's seen me knows I'm not a big guy, but I don't have to play the flippy, jumpy thing that everybody else is doing, because in all reality, I'm not getting any younger, and Lord knows how long I'm going to be able to do this kind of stuff. So I've got to kind of, make my way into different areas of wrestling, whether it be grappling or whether it be ground game, or whatever. Flips aren't going to last forever, you
No.
know.
No, even though a lot of fans seem to think you're like Pennywise and you're like immortal, um, R-
Uh,
Rika actually does have an age. You know, he's
yeah, I wish they'd tell my back that.
yeah, yeah. Well, as we used to say, me and you travel together sometime, and one of our long-running road story jokes is, we'll get back like, God, my back, and then Rick will be like, Oh, I got a closet full of spines at the house if you need one.
That's right.
I got a
I
bunch
always
of
carry an extra
spines.
just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, well, I might need one, especially for me. Like, last night it was Warrior Wrestling Alliance Cage Chaos. We're shooting this on March 9th, so this would have been March 8th. We did these matches, and I finished up my series with Juicy Joe Angelo Garcia, and man, I didn't say this. The booker said it, and I took it as a huge compliment. He says, but watching you two guys work is kind of like watching a Guerrero and a Von Erich work. And I was like, whoa, man, that's.
That is ultimate respect.
I was like, that's that. I said, thank you, but I never, I mean, just trying to, keep it humble. I'm like, the Von Erich started when they were like 7. I was like,
Right, right.
I started at 26. Like, okay, so, but no, me and Joey did some great. I mean, if nothing else, the East Texas fan base got treated to a really cool series there.
They
Um,
did. They
we
did.
we finished it in the cage, and you were there. You saw it. I basically was thinking like, all right, Joey's going over. I'm gonna pull a Foley. I was like, throw me off the top of the cage. And now of course I'm not near as crazy as Foley. I didn't go to the floor, but
No.
it is a very stiff ring at WWA. I know they're going to watch
Yes,
this
very much so.
podcast, and I'm not even sorry because you know it's stiff. So
Oh, I do.
yeah,
Oh, I do.
no,
Oh, I
no,
do.
not just you. I'm talking to Derek and the owners. Like y'all know, don't get mad at
It's a
me.
boxing ring. It's not
Yes,
a. It's a
and
boxing ring.
it's a legendary ring because it was
It
actually
is.
featured in the Power Rangers movie back in the day. It was JDF's
Right.
ring. But my lord, man! So I fall from the top of the cage. Bam! We slug it out on top of the cage. It was I love the match. I love the physicality there. Joey ends up, sneaking the win off, and now he's gonna get the title shot. Hey, it's whatever. I'm still around. I'm gonna start stacking up wins after that. That's how it goes.
You're
But
still carrying 2 heavyweight championships. I'm just
yeah,
saying.
it's not a total loss, but
Right.
you start wanting more. You want to get that
Oh, yeah.
tri-state thing. I got
Hey,
Mississippi and Louisiana. Now where's Texas?
I get that. I get that 100%.
Um.
And me and Jack Lovecraft, that was our fourth match.
Oh yeah.
That was our that was our fourth match, and then we finished our little storyline off too. Our little chase, and Jack went over, and he deserves that. We done a lot of crazy things together that I didn't think I was going to do when I started actually wrestling. I kind of tried to steer away from that kind of style matches, but
Well, when the third issue of Southern Wrestling Hot Topic and News drops at the end of April, beginning of May, there will be a feature article in there on Warrior Wrestling Alliance because they, for just a little small town indie, man, they make the rounds. They
for
promote
sure,
well, and they really put emphasis on their story. They want it to chain together because they get it
right?
to where yeah, is it small town wrestling? Yes, but like the internet is a thing, and people are going to watch it and follow it. So you might as well
Exactly.
treat it like television. So the storylines are really fun to be a part of.
It really is, man. It's a different era nowadays, and as much respect as I've got for the legends who have come up before us, and done their thing, we've got a powerful tool at our fingertips, and this goes for promoters and companies and wrestlers and everything in between. We've got a powerful tool at our fingertips, and it's crazy not to try to utilize it.
Yeah, you that's part of why you have the success you do is because uh,
1,000%.
really, I mean, guys, I'm telling you, it's not just because he was a great student learning the craft, but like you already had the character built. You
Yeah,
already knew where you were. And the Dapper Dan, we were in the early days of UWE, so it was, nowadays we have James Beard, Texas promoting and producing legend, that's helping out with our storyline writing and stuff at UWE. But in the
yeah,
early days, before James was back on, was on board, he was never not on board, but before we drew
right,
him
right.
in, Dapper was kind of like, yeah, I mean, why not? Just try it and see if it gets over. Try it and see if it gets over. So he just let you go with what you had. And I'm glad he did because you already had it built. I mean, you already had a page with followers before we even did a
I
match.
mean, he was iffy about it at first. It was one of those things because when I say I joined the school in the mask, I showed up day one in the mask,
Oh yeah,
and he was like, "Okay, look at this weird guy."
like this is
Like
what I'm gonna be. Yeah.
pretty much, and it was like super Marky Mark type stuff. It's like, okay, this kid is coming in already in gimmick, and we ain't even started training yet. Like, come on now, which he didn't know about Rika before the wrestling. He just thought I was some kid showing up in a clown mask. Be like, "Yep, that's me now." And
It was
over
either you or
over time,
him wanted me to be a movie star when I was
yeah, oh yeah, and that
picking a
that
gimmick.
ended up turning to HD.
Yeah, we had another guy that took that. I was like, please take this. I don't want to. I told him I was like,
It's
I
it's
don't
because
even
you got the
know.
face, man.
I appreciate that,
You got the face, man. You got the movie star face.
but I was like, I don't even know where to begin in that thought process. Like I don't. So I was like, why can't I just take traits of my own life and play that up? And he was like, well, we don't
There
have a
you go.
cowboy. I mean, we could use one. It's an easy gimmick. It gets over. So I tried it, and my gimmick, you really have to push yourself to stay not only legitimate but also keep thinking of things that hadn't been done because, as you know, there is fifty
Right.
thousand of me out there in Texas. Like
Yep.
there is
Yep.
and they're not all good. I'm just going to say they're not all good. A lot of guys use it as a lazy gimmick. They just get a cheap Timu trench coat
It's easy.
and
Yeah.
go to the Bucky's gas station and get a souvenir cowboy hat. And they're like, yeah, and they just use their real name. Like I'm Cowboy Jake Williams or whatever, and I'm like, it's
Yeah.
such a easy gimmick. And I was like, see, some of them suck, and
And it gives the rest of them that are good bad names.
yes, and so
Yeah.
I really had to work hard to kind of you know make it pop and stand out. And like you, I like to stay well rounded. I mean, I'll work that brawler Texas style where, big clotheslines, drop downs, a little bit of wrestling here and
Yeah.
there, grappling. But I like to keep people guessing. I'll fly occasionally.
Right. Right.
I'll go hole for hole with a technician. I'll do some strong style if I have to. So I try to stay well rounded. But you don't want to get so well rounded you don't have an identity. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Like you said, they expect me to do some kind of high risk something during my match. And I always want to, they paid to see me. So I want to give them what they want, as we all do. But when it comes down to it, I've got to know when to place those high spots and not put them over to where I'm boxed in. And now that's all they know me for is a bunch of flippy junk,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And also, I know we've had some old time vets get on to you about this, and I think you're doing right, but you also want to be careful with the crazy steps because then you don't want to be boxed in as a deathmatch guy.
Yeah, well, when the whole innovative championship thing come along, I was like, okay, stipulation matches. I had up until that point, I really hadn't done many. I'd done the cage match, and that's about as crazy as my at Battle Zone. That's about as crazy as my stuff went. But then I got the title, and he was like, okay, so every match has a stipulation now, and we're doing this and this and this, and I'm like, I hope I don't keep this belt long. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I was proud to have it, but Lord knows that's a lot of craziness to handle back to back.
Yeah, I remember the night you won the innovative championship. We were in Lufkin, Texas, and it was for
Yes.
Warrior Wrestling Alliance, and I remember it very well because I got done. I think me and Joey, that was our first time. Me and Angelo Garcia, that was our first time to wrestle each other. And I went over and beat him with my Stampede Power Bomb and great match. And so I'm celebrating. So there's a bar in the VFW hall we're in. I just got paid cash. I'm not driving, so I'm like, okay. So I walk
Perfect.
over and I'm having a whiskey with the veterans. Got my jacket, my hat. I mean, they're loving me. I'm getting the babyface treatment. So I'm sitting there watching this craziness from the bar, and
Uh,
did the, what was it like the Funhouse surprise? Is that what they called it?
yes.
Yeah, that was
And Brady had too much fun with that.
yes.
Too much fun.
The general manager basically went to a Walmart and bought a bunch of random stuff and gift wrapped it. So everyone's like, "Oh, come on, y'all are all in on the act together." No, not all the time. No, y'all had
No,
no clue what was in those boxes.
none. It was Christmas time in the match.
Yeah, it was a heck of a way to end the year for them. But man, I remember like you took a bump on some pine cones. Um,
Yes.
there
Never
was
in my wildest dreams would I thought that would happen.
they that you shattered light fluorescent light tubes, which is a classic death match spot. Y'all
Yeah.
shattered that on his back. I mean, man, you
I
guys
got
were
a
going.
picture frame. A picture frame broke over my face.
A picture
I
frame
mean,
that housed a picture of the general manager. That was the funniest part. I'm
right.
I'm at the bar, and of course I had this fan sitting with me, and he's just like, "Oh man, how long did it take y'all to think of that?" I'm like, "What's this y'all and thinking?"
Right.
I was like,
Right.
I'm just as in the dark as you are, brother. And we're sitting there, and there's a massive print of Brady Brown just and I'm like, what is going on in my life right now? To where I'm
It was
watching.
hard for me. it was hard for me not to crack when he opened that package and I seen Brady.
You just and I'm like, what the hell is this? And you know, it was something like you'd see at a WWE PLE. Like it
Right.
was awesome, and you won that belt that night, and you held on to it until now. So you know, you had a few months, a really good run
Yeah.
with it. You know, and then of course it wasn't all crazy. I know you wrestled a Viking guy named Warhammer, and y'all did the hammer on a pole match. That's
Yeah, that was an odd match.
it was a little odd, but you know, compared to what you'd been doing, it was probably like if I'd have been you, I'd been like, oh, good, I get a break. You know, we're just
Yeah,
gonna,
I mean that's how I felt about it. I mean,
yeah,
it was simple. I
yeah,
didn't have to get scratched up or get slammed on anything hard. So
yeah.
outside of the ring.
And then of course the your brainchild, the Lego tape fist, man. Did it feel kind of weird that you lost your title in a match that you thought of?
You know what? Until this point, I hadn't really thought of that, but I've stepped on Legos before, and I was like, if I can bump on pine cones, Legos should be fine. But pine cones have a little give to them; they'll squish down. You know what I mean? They'll compress a little bit. Them Legos, they're really sharp, jagged, different angles.
And
Yeah. So
it wasn't just the block like
no,
the basic, like they had the little truck wheels.
they had
It,
everything. It was
yeah.
a box full of random Legos.
And with the economy these days, that was an expensive match to put together, I'm sure. Legos are not
I think
cheap. So,
I'm just saying Brady's son's getting some new Legos for Christmas. That's
yeah,
all I'm saying.
slightly used.
Right.
Yeah, slightly.
I kept a
And
handful in my gear bag just to have. So
which is why I'm not that mad about getting thrown from the top of the cage, Foley style, because we had to follow that. So I'm like, okay, well the crowd's gonna be half dead for this. Look what they just got done seeing, you know.
I mean, I expected kids to be building stuff on the front row by the end of the match.
Right?
Got there
Yeah.
building Legos.
They had. Thank God they swept the ring for us, or that would have been hell. You know, I wasn't looking
Yeah,
forward to that. But
and you couldn't grab onto anything because our hands were taped up with that gorilla tape.
oh
So I
yeah,
mean, I
yeah.
did give Jack Lovecraft a good sticky Lego chop across his hairy chest, which was pretty nice.
Oh yeah, we saw. In fact, there was two guys in the locker room watching that on the monitor in Gorilla, and they actually made a bet. They were like, "I bet you $5 shake on it right now. One of them gets chopped with a Lego." And they were like, okay, I'll take that bet. And sure enough, when we saw you setting up for it, they were like, no, don't you, damn it. And they went and paid him his money. So
Yeah.
there was sports betting going on with that one.
Well, I'm glad they enjoyed it because, like I said, I'm definitely feeling it today.
Yeah, it
I didn't
was.
hurt this bad after the other match.
Oh yeah, really. Well, hey man, what's coming up for Rika Wildlee? What you got coming up in the next few weeks?
Well, I've got Battle Zone as we got Widowfest coming up this weekend. It's going to be a crazy event. I'm going to be going against Gluttony, the Big Top Butcher. We've got some stuff going on, and after that, my next show is the 29th. We are going back home to Arkansas. Me and my partner Ethan Sorrow, the family affiliated, to defend our CCW Tag Team Championships against the Psychotic Messengers. They're a
Ooh.
team from what's up?
Oh, I was just like, oh, that's a crazy name.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't really know these guys, man. I've kind of done some research on them, looked at them on Facebook and things like that. But they're a team that do a lot of Upper Arkansas and like Oklahoma and things like that. But we're going to be defending our titles at CCW against the Psychotic Messengers on March 29th. And after that, April is going to be an insane month, period.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I got the 4-way tag team ladder match coming up. I've never done a ladder match. So
Where's that gonna be?
that is going to be in Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City for Renegade Wrestling Entertainment. Yeah.
Folks, we're throwing a
Oh, they're
lot of
big.
names at you. I encourage y'all to look these up. Support indie wrestling. It's a lot of fun, and you're talking. I got a guy right here I'm talking to, Rika, that he travels all over the South and beyond. So I mean, if you need to know of an indie place, just follow him. You'll see where he's going, man. I mean, discover these
You know,
places.
it's awesome that that's happened. But when before I started traveling heavy, I got on Facebook and I just followed every possible indie company that I could find. And then a lot of them followed me back just to check out my stuff. And over time, it's grown, because this company follows this company and so on and so forth. And they'll share my stuff. And before you know it, I'm in front of thousands of eyes that I never would have got the chance to get in front of, and all you got to do is catch their attention one time and now they're intrigued,
Yeah,
you know, and
and
then
it's all about keeping the content pumping too, man. We
definitely.
really got to work
I,
hard there.
I brought this up the other day to, I think it was on the last podcast I was on. Austin Andrews unfortunately has been out for the past couple months with the surgery and stuff that he had. And I, if I ever get knocked out or I ever get taken out for a couple months to where I've got to recoup or something, all I'm going to be doing is pushing podcasts. I'm going to be jumping on every podcast that I possibly can because it keeps you relevant.
Yes.
Even though you're not in the ring, it keeps your character relevant. And plus, it gives you content. You know, you don't have to sit at home and just go, man, it sucks I'm not wrestling. I can't wait for my next match. That's irregardless. You got to keep pushing your stuff, pushing your character. It's not just a character; it's a business. You got to look at it that way.
Well, and
You know,
with the holidays getting busy, and then us trying to get these magazines in a higher production, I mean, we're doing pretty
right?
well on Amazon right now, but trying to get
Good.
them not just produced but mass produced. I got a little busy and had to back off doing some of this. But what I like doing with this podcast here is when we take a week or two break, you take a
Mhm.
page out of Chris Van Vliet's book, and you just take your old episodes, you cut out some snippets, and then you add clips to them. I mean, you got a week's worth of content after you sit down and do that for a few hours.
You'll see me post stuff from 2022 matches that me and X Storms had for the light heavyweight championship every now and again because I'm just like, well, people that's followed me in the last year hadn't seen these matches, so I'm gonna take them and cut them up and post clips from those.
Well, and
But
it's great in your case because you wear a mask. In my case, if when I mean, I do that too. But when I post old stuff, they already know it's old because I used to have much shorter hair. Um,
true, true, true,
uh,
true, true.
I used to wear different boots and everything. So, like, they'll be like, "Oh, this is an old one. Well, it's still a good one, but oh yeah, okay, I see what he's doing."
Yeah,
People don't really know with you because you've really pretty much, for the most part, kind of look the same. I mean, you're always
outside of my
changing your.
jackets.
Yeah, I mean, except that because you've got 100 jackets. I mean, traveling with this guy is like traveling with a on stage like singer because he's got a whole wardrobe that we've got to somehow cram into the back of a sedan,
Well,
and he's got like the Dillard's suit jacket zip bag, and then the staff, the lights, and I was like, dude, we're we're carrying a few pounds of hardware here just in entrance stuff.
well, I've watched a lot of people go into these different locker rooms and they see something cool that somebody else is doing, and it's happened at Battle Zone. But see somebody that somebody's doing, and they're like, "Man, I'm gonna incorporate that into my stuff." And that's the reason I switch up jackets so much. That's the reason I'm constantly swapping because if I'm constantly swapping, they're not keeping up.
Smart, smart. I've been accused of stealing some stuff. There are a few things I will go out and say that, like, yeah, I've asked permission from the people. One of them, Cowboy Jeremy Young, he was one of my first notable rivals there because he's worked all over. He's worked Japan. He's done some enhancement stuff for WWE. And he gave me the rub when I was young into it, and he's getting older, doesn't work as much. So, I was like, hey, I really like the song you're using. Can I use that? Because I got a lot of bookings coming. He's like, yeah, sure. And a couple of little things that is kind of like, I see it as on your road to success. You're going to learn some stuff, and you can fold that into your stuff, not necessarily just
Right,
copy it.
right,
But
right.
there's a few things you'll see me do that you're like, oh, that's kind of like Jeremy Young for all the people that's seen him. Then as far as wardrobe goes, man, for a cowboy, there's not a lot that hadn't been done.
That's true.
uh,
That's true.
I tried chaps, didn't like it just for wrestling because it was too hard getting them on and off. I'm a little more fast paced, so I like to come out pumped up, take the jacket off, and let's start.
Let's go. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
one time the zipper on my chaps got hung, and I was so embarrassed. I thought about leaning over to the person in the front row and be like, "You got a knife?" Because
Depending on where you was, they probably did.
I was pissed. I was like, "Is this really happening to me right now?" Because my tights had fringe on them, so that zipper caught the fringe, and I'm like, "This is not happening."
Yep.
Yes, that was the
I did
last
that
time.
on my old purple jacket. It didn't have snap buttons. It had the circle buttons that you put through the hole, and they hold down like that, and it got stuck. So I literally just took it with snap and sewed the button back on later. I just
Yeah,
pulled it and broke it.
I
But
was I was ready to ruin a very expensive pair of leather chaps. I'm like, I'm about to just rip this zipper and replace
yeah,
them later. Luckily, it come unhung, and I went ahead and got them off. It was in a tag team match, and wasn't with Gatekeeper, but the guy I was teaming
right.
with, Jake Fury. He looks over at me. He's like, "What's your deal?" I'm like, "Would you just keep them distracted? Shut up!" like,
Doesn't he wear chaps too,
it's the same. I ended up
or he
giving them
did?
to him.
Oh, so those are those
I
chaps.
gave them to him. I'm like, "You can have this garbage. I'm done." So yeah, I was like, keep this, and the thing you know, with my Western chaps, like my actual horse riding chaps, I'd actually loaned them out to a cousin, and didn't have them for the match. So I had a pair of not cheap but not super expensive. They were it's just all I could really get my hands on because I didn't want to spend, you know, up close to $1,000, $800 on another pair of riding chaps. So I just got
Right.
some Harley Davidson black leather motorcycle chaps. And
But if you're just wearing them to the ring, I mean, ain't no need in spending that much money on just something to walk out for 30 seconds.
well, I've had people ask me or try to help me, in locker rooms and stuff. Be like, why don't you just go to Spirit Halloween and just get some
Uh-uh.
costume?
Don't do it. Nope.
Well, I was like, I've been there, thought about that. I've thought about it. I said, but that's going to last you one show, you know?
You can tell. And people that have gear and know, like, if you go to Walmart and you got to buy something that you're going to be wearing on a regular basis, or you go to Spirit and buy something you're going to wear on a regular basis, like, I could easily go to Spirit Halloween and get everything I need for my gimmick, and it cost me $30.
Maybe,
But
yeah,
you would definitely be able to tell it,
yeah, you know.
just on quality alone.
But those black leather motorcycle chaps, I was like, man, these are beautiful. I said, it's not really, as cowboys I'd like it to be, but it's gonna work. And man, when that
Right,
zipper got hung on me, I give them to Jake Fury. I was like, you know what, you do the biker thing, you keep them. I said, I'm
right,
I'm done with this garbage, So
right.
it's a lot easier to get out there now. And sure enough, he started feeling the effects because if you get on the UWE United Wrestling Entertainment YouTube page and watch some old Jake Fury matches, you'll see he had like this like Matrix trench coat like thing with the
Yeah,
chaps, and it took him like what seemed like 10 minutes to get undressed so that he could get started. And I'm like, yeah, you see why less is more here.
yep. Well, I mean, I completely feel that because I mean, with all the different switches and buttons and everything, that's why I leave all my lights on when I get in the ring. I come out with all my flashy stuff, and I've got so many buttons and snaps, and I'm just like, I'm gonna lay it all right here, and somebody will get it and bring it to the back.
Yeah, I was not pleased with that, but I kept trial and error going with it, and you know every cowboy wrestler out there wears a vest. So I try to make my vest stand out. I have a few different ones. I've been wearing the white leather for a while, and that gets over very well. Heel or baby
Right.
face, it gets over. But here lately I've been rocking the full denim, which was partially just for a style change, but also because, brother, in January it's cold. and and I
Yeah.
was like, I'm no. I said I'm gonna stay warm on my way down there. You know what I mean? Uh,
I feel that.
it's always trying to change up and evolve, and then sure enough, I think I'm doing something a little different. I get on Facebook after I start wearing the long sleeve denim, and there's another Texas based, very successful. I'm gonna go ahead and shout him out. A very successful Texas based wrestler named Damo McCullough, and he's he's a he, I'll say it. He's a bigger guy than me. I mean, the guy's huge, and got a good look, great skills, and I'd love to test myself and work him one day. But sure enough, he's wearing the full denim jacket with a very similar colored cowboy hat. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me right now. Really? Really? I think I'm ahead of the curve, and I'm not. So,
Right. I mean, it's really hard in wrestling in general. Is everything has been done, to a certain extent, and everybody's continuously evolving in one way or another, and which is another reason that I switch my crap up as much as I do. I know there's been a billion clowns, but every time I go to a new event, these same people that's been to those events and watch them regularly and keep up, they're now there to see what I'm going to wear next, which I have fun making the crap anyway. So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. See, that's something I wanted to get into is guys like Cowboy Cliff Rogers and the top hand Damo. We just get our gear from a store, maybe customize it a little bit, and then we go. I can assume that's what he does. I know that's what I do. But
yeah,
you hand make everything you wear. That's
pretty much. Yep.
that's crazy. That's a different level of investing in the craft right there.
Well, I mean, I get people all the time, and they're wanting to, they're asking about video games and all that. Like, what do you do in your spare time? When you get off work, do you go home and you play video games? Dude, I don't even own a video game. I don't even own a system. I literally sit in my bed, and if I'm not working on wrestling figures, I'm working on wrestling gear or modifying stuff for other wrestlers, like helping Gluttony do his stuff or working on my knee pads, getting them better, doing editing on my phone with videos or promos or new 8x10s or posters or something. When I say wrestling completely, other than what I have to do to pay bills, just engulfs my life 1000%. I've got a son, a wife, wrestling, and work. That's it. That is it.
That's all we got. Yeah,
That is it.
it's
And my wife has just come to understand that it's not going anywhere. Just let it be.
yeah. Don't try to fight
Yeah.
it.
Nope. Nope.
Um, and I'm getting like that too, where I'm the more prolific I'm getting on the scene, the more highlight tapes I'm making, the more and you know this when you're a
Yeah.
champion, you're more than just a guy with the belt. I mean, now you're the mascot of the company. So now I'm
Exactly.
going to visit, doing public appearances, and if there's sponsors of the UWE or Battle Zone and they want a commercial or something, I got to go do a Facebook thing for them, and so
Yep.
it gets to where I've had friends, my mom, all them be like, "Can't you just take a break?" I'm like, that'd be great, but I kind of want this to be my only job, so
Well,
sorry.
that's great. And my dad and my wife says the same thing. But you realize if we were to take a break, no matter what, the other people that are right behind us and are trying to do the same thing are doing the same thing that we're doing. They're not stopping. So it's a never ending race until the day you retire. You
Yes.
know?
Absolutely. I mean, even like these guys that you'll see on social media, like Jack Vaughn and Big Ben Bishop, that yeah, they make appearances all the time, wrestling matches for Ring of Honor and AEW. You think they're just like cool? I had a match on AEW Dynamite. I'm set. No, they're still cranking their reels out. They're
Right.
still cranking their photos out, and I'm like, yeah. See, it's almost it's kind of like what John Cena used to say. He says, when you get to the top, that's when the work really starts.
Facts.
So
Facts.
we all said we wanted to be a wrestler. Here it is. It's not that
I
easy.
mean, hey, look, people don't understand getting a belt isn't just about being champion. You've now got the target set on your back.
Yes.
So when it comes down to it, everybody wants to be in your position. So you've got to keep going, keep pushing, keep doing, keep elevating yourself in one way or another so you can keep that spot for the time being. But there's always somebody there. If you take a step to the side or you trip or fall, there's always somebody there that's willing to step on you to get that position.
What's some of the bigger crowds you've ended up working, man? I mean, I know you've been all over. What's some of like the biggest
I'm gonna
houses?
say I've been in front of like the two biggest crowds I've worked so far was that one we done at the riverfront where it was 1,000 people.
Yeah, that was 2021 UWE Wrestling for Wreaths. The first one you can
Yep,
find that on YouTube. We
great
were
event.
production was still coming along, but it's good enough. You can watch it, man. It was that was a
Hey,
big house. Yeah.
we drew 1,000 people for a production that was still growing, so I mean, I think we were doing good. But other than that, the other biggest crowd and the biggest crowd I've been in front of was when I worked at the Gathering of the Juggalos in 2022. There was 17,000 people there.
Down with the clowns.
That that was I've never been more, I'm gonna say, emotional
Yeah.
in a match. Just on the fact that I've watched these people since I was a kid, and I've watched that company, and I've always wanted to go there anyway. But to be able, even though it was a battle royal, and I got to meet some of these legends like Necro Butcher, I got to meet Santino Jackson, I got to meet all kinds of people that I've watched. Madman Pondo.
Wow.
Um, I I got to hang out in the locker room with these guys and to be holding a conversation and them trying to be like, "Hey, man, you're doing good stuff," because I was showing them some videos of my stuff that I had at the time, and they're like, "Man, that's really good." I went in the battle royal. I did my thing. I called one of my buddies, Timmy. I called him that night. It was 2 o'clock in the morning when we went on, and I've never wrestled that late.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 2 o'clock in the morning. Sir Mix-a-Lot sung "Baby Got Back," and then he got off the stage and they pulled the ring onto the stage.
Follow that.
Yeah, right, right. The whole event was the main event was Vampiro in an electric cage match.
Holy crap. He's still going?
Yeah, yeah. Well, at the time, I mean, I don't know if he is now. I haven't seen him in a while, but he was the champion, the JCW champion at the time,
He was
and
one of
he
the
was in the main
first.
event.
He was one of the first wrestlers that a very young Cliff Rogers watched. Because I didn't watch it as a little kid. I didn't get into it until I was like 13. But it always piqued my interest. It's just growing up, my mom and them and parents and stuff they weren't into it. So
Right.
they never put it on or anything. I never could find out what channel it was on. And so, anyways, I was staying up late one time. School was out, and MTV come on, and there was a company. It didn't last very long at all. I think they only ran like one TV season, but it was Wrestling Society X. You ever
I
remember?
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Vampiro was their inaugural
memory
champion.
unlocked.
And
Yeah.
they did a crazy spot where like he threw a guy in a casket and then like fire shoots up from the ring and everything. And I was like, I want to see more of that guy, And then he kind of just disappeared off my little radar because I think the show got canceled. And
Right.
then later on, when I discovered YouTube and stuff as a teenager, I'm watching all of his WCW stuff, and I'm like, man, this guy was awesome. So he's definitely
Yeah.
someone that I'm shocked that he's still, even just a few years
I
ago,
think he's
was,
got a lot of. I think he's got a lot of head trauma.
I would imagine.
Yeah, because he's very. I'm not gonna say it's like dementia type stuff, but you can just tell something's off. And I mean, he is older. Don't get me wrong. He's had his run. He's done amazing things. He's done awesome matches, like you just talked about. But at the time when I went in 2022, he was JCW champion, and he ended up going in the electric cage match that night, and it was great match all around the table. And so he can definitely still go, or he could then.
So if y'all did the opening battle royal at 2 a.m., that means he probably wrestled in that cage at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And there's still people out there?
For 5 days, bro, or 4 days, that place did not sleep.
That's like Vegas.
There was concerts the whole time. There was 4 different stages. And there was the main stage, and they had one off in the edge of the woods, and there was like 2 or 3 other ones. But there was constantly concerts, constantly music. And if you tried to go to sleep in your tent or in your RV or something, you had to wear earphones because there was music playing the whole time.
I imagine. Man, that's an experience. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was. It was wild.
Well, I was a little nervous. A lot of the fans know I've been talking about it enough. I'm excited, but I'm going to the Level Up Expo in Las Vegas at the end of April. And when I got the show schedule, I'm thinking, because you know what they say, Vegas never sleeps. It's a 24/7 city.
Right.
And I'm just like, okay, please don't be nothing stupid. Please don't be like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And lo and behold, it's normal times. I think we start at like 7.
Good.
And I'm like, okay, sweet, And I've got family coming in to stay for that, and I was like, cool, so we can get out, we can go hit the craps table, go get something to eat. It don't matter in Vegas because it's like, what's going to be open at 11? Everything.
Right. Well, that was the thing, man. Is when I went to JCW up there, we wrestled on the 3rd day. First day we got up there, got settled in. Second day they had JCW tryouts, which there was like 60 people that tried out. They chose 30. And then at the next day, well, I say the next day, the last day, early that morning is when we wrestled. But I waited and I looked at the schedule, and it was like JCW Bloody Mania happening, which is JCW is like WrestleMania. They do it every year at the Gathering. But they were like 8, 9 o'clock that night. So I waited. I was in full gear in the mask. It's in like, I'm gonna say, I think it was like August. So I'm in this mask. Hot, sweaty, sticky, nasty, walking around in my boots, in my tights, knee pads on, mask on, the whole get up. And it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I get on the phone with Timmy, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if they're wrestling. And then I talked to one of the other guys, and they're like, yeah, such and such had to reschedule. So they got us going on at 2 in the morning. I'm like, dude, I'm an old man. Give me 10 o'clock. Give me 10 o'clock. I'm in bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to be like, it's time to perform at 2 a.m. Like, I'm excited, but I'm tired.
That turnaround shift, man, that's like plant work.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the thing is I'm on the phone with Timmy, and I hear Sir Mix-a-Lot, and he's playing some music. And then he's done his last song, and he's like, you know what? They're chanting encore. He's like, I got one more song that I've been waiting to play for y'all. It's something that I've had hidden off the record for years and years and years. And I know y'all will dig it. I'm going to play it for y'all since it's that time. He played Baby Got Back.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Of course he did.
Big psych
Of course
out.
he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's great.
But it was fun, though, man. That's probably the biggest crowd I've been in front of, though.
Man, and that was pretty early in your career. So you think that kind of helped ice the nerves for like bigger things to come? I mean, like once you've done 1,700 people or 17,000 people, I mean, a civic center with 250.
And these wasn't just sitting on their hands. These are throwing crap in the ring. This was like old school ECW. They're throwing popcorn and Cokes, and they're people was jumping the guardrail. They literally in our match fought 3 people off the ringside.
Oh, and you better not blow a spot because it sounds like they're going to be like, "Hey, you up," if you miss
the cool part
up.
about it was, if anybody knows about Superhuman, the guy that always goes, yeah, he was in that match. And he literally got it. We're all fighting in the middle of the ring. He got on the top rope. They handed him a microphone. He done his spiel for the juggalos and the juggalettes and blah, 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 and then dove off onto everybody. It was fun stuff.
It's one of those things where, you're just going to, You're gonna be able to tell like, yeah, man, what's the craziest thing you done? Light tubes. What about you? Thumbtack. What about you? Well, it's easier to just show you this battle royal than to
Yep.
try to walk you through. What-
I could explain it, but it'll do it no justice.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I could imagine, working a civic center or a gym somewhere in Oklahoma or Mississippi or wherever, of, 2, 3, 400 people. You'd be like, yeah, it's great and all, but like, it ain't no 17,000.
Well, I mean, the thing was, is when I got up there, which it was a lot of young guys, or newer wrestlers like me. There was some that were more experienced, but when we got in there to do our thing, they didn't know the entrance. Colt Cabana was the guy that was doing the y'all, go ahead and come on out. He was doing the whole intro to the event. And he called us all out to the ring, got us all in there, and then basically they just said go. And then it was 30 men, and they're just at it. Right. So I did, which was pretty cool. I got to hit a big top before I went over. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, your
I mean, they
patented finisher.
cleared me out of spot. Yeah.
What inspired the big top? For those that haven't seen it yet, look him up. Look up Rika. But
Yeah,
it's a flip neck breaker. But what got you to go with that?
because I can do it on anyone.
Easy enough.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a small guy. There's no need. I'm not trying to break my body down by doing some flippy crazy move and have to do it every single match. You know, I can do that, and that's a very easy bump to take, and it's an easy one for me to take. So I've done it on Matthew DeLuna. I mean, if I can do it on him, I can pretty much do it on anybody.
Yeah, and like we've said before, DeLuna is a unit. He's a Texas-based guy.
Yeah,
He's about yay
great
tall,
performer.
but he's about that wide. He is a unit. So
Yes,
if you can hit it on
and
him, you've hit it on me before.
yeah,
I actually, I think we've only actually competed against each other once. But like I
right,
say, in the training days, of course, me being extra green, trying to learn how to take different stuff. You give me that big top, and I grew up watching 2008 era Monday Night Raw. Crime Time was a big deal,
very
and
much
it's
so.
the same neck breaker that JTG used to use.
Yep,
So I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." I said, "It
yep,
shouldn't be hard." And what makes it yours is that crazy laugh you do as you're hitting it, and you do it every
right,
time.
right.
That is,
That's another reason that I ended up bringing out the UFO drop. Is if I happen to go against somebody that I feel comfortable picking up and can pick up, I can do that move, and it doesn't put me in that box we were talking about, to where I've got a little strength even though I'm small. I mean, I ain't trying to gorilla press nobody, but you know what I mean? I don't have to just be that small little quick guy. I can pull something like that out every now and again, and they go, okay, that dude can do a good body slam. He can do a good suplex. He doesn't have to be just speed.
yeah. Well, and I have the same mentality with mine. Is a lot of time I'm the bigger guy, so I like doing some powerful stuff. And growing up watching all the different kinds of wrestling I could get my hands on, I'd start watching some Japanese wrestling, and I remember watching the Tiger Bomb, which was
Oh
it's
yeah,
a flipped up power bomb from a pedigree position, and so I was like that's got to be something I use. So starting off, I had easy finishes that I could hit on anybody. Sometimes you just do the gimmick finish with a weapon. Whatever you got to do to get it over.
right.
But the Tiger Bomb was always something I wanted to use. So it's my finish now. It's the Stampede Thunder Bomb, and I enjoy using it. But there's some guys to where can I muscle them up? Yeah, but is it going to be the safest thing in the world? Probably not. I don't want to blow anything
Right, right,
out.
right.
I want to win, but I don't want to kill anybody. So that's why. Again, did some tape study, and I found an old move that I never seen before and never really seen since, and I modified it a little. So I do like a running, spinning tornado bulldog thing, and that's my 8-second ride there. So that can be used on anybody. That if you watch some of my more recent matches and give me a follow, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's actually what I won this title with, and but the power bomb, you break it out. for the devastating stuff, and then the other one I like because it's almost got like an RKO flavor to it. You can hit it at anywhere, just like yours. You can hit yours from
Yep.
almost anywhere.
As long as they're getting up, as long as they're trying to get up to their feet and they're bent over, that's a wrap.
Same with
Yep.
me. Yeah, yours is actually
Yep.
quicker. You just flip over, bam, there it is.
Right.
Mine, you gotta make sure you got some hops because I'm gonna have to vault over your body and everything. It's a flashy
Yeah.
move, but it takes about another extra second than yours. But very very similar thought process there in our.
That was the whole thing with when we first come into the school, and it was most of the time training together. It was me and Fury, and we were working on different moves, and Fury already had an idea of what he was going to use, and I was I had people like Brandon and Jonathan, and Logan Wade and Millennial Mike, and they're not small fellas, and Jake Fury's not too small of a guy. I was the smallest in the class, so I was having to try to come up with something that I could literally hit on any of them. And
Yes.
that's the whole mentality behind the big top is I don't there's no size, you know, anybody can take it.
Exactly. Yeah, and then I've even seen you hit it from the top rope, which was insane. I've seen you do that
That's
before.
basically JTG's.
Yeah.
I mean, same concept.
Well, and in fact, so now let's you have a lot of success as a singles guy. You've tagged before, but now you have a permanent tag partner for now, Ethan Sorrow, the psych
Right.
ward guy, and
Yep, yep, yep.
family affiliated, and y'all been making the rounds. You had two sets of belts, two different companies, two different states. So I noticed y'all were coming up with a finish, and y'all basically used the old crime time finish where he picks him
Pretty
up with a
much.
Samoa, you come off the top, bam, Samoa drop into the big top, and
Exactly.
that's I don't care who's done it before. That's gonna get a reaction. It's gonna get a win. So
It
excellent
puts his
call.
size versus my move. I'm already doing that regardless if it's off his shoulders or not. So I mean it just made sense. He does a Samoan drop in some of his matches anyway. So I do the big top, he does a Samoa drop, put them together. There you go.
Yeah,
And
perfect.
we call it the final act.
The final act. Yeah, see,
The
good
final
name. Good name.
yeah.
Was it? What's it like? I know a thing or two about this because of my little tag team that me and the Gatekeeper do on the road, the Desperados. But in y'all's case, y'all team a little more frequently than me. Man, is it a bit of a curve trying to take your single success and translate that into now you're sharing this with someone else?
It it is in a way, but it's not because I've been so blessed to be able to get in and have somebody his size because I was so worried about ever getting into tag team stuff and somebody being my size and us being hindered by only being small guys. But it's the perfect yin yang between me and Ethan because he can be fast if he wants to, but he's got strength and size versus my speed and agility. So us working together meshes perfectly. Our gimmicks are polar opposite, but that's what makes the freak show well rounded.
Yeah, and
You know,
it's crazy how y'all got paired up. He was actually at Classic Championship Wrestling (CCW) in Arkansas, run by WCW alum Terry Pantera. Look that up.
right?
He was teamed with another big dude, and they were at the Doomsday together. And
Yes, they were doomsday. They were heels, man.
healing, yeah, and they were getting that heel
That's
reaction. And you as evil as you look, you people. I mean, you're too cool. People aren't going to boo you.
the
You're like
lights, man. It's the lights.
yeah, yeah. Really, it is. It's the lights. It's
It's the lights.
1980s Great Muta is what I kind of compare it to because Muta,
Hey, I dig it.
when he was brought in from Japan to NWA and later WCW, they wanted him to be the foreign menace, but the kids loved him. He was too cool. He was like trying to boo a Power Ranger.
Right.
So that's I've told him. I said Rika just can't be heel. So um,
Look, when they pitched, you know, his partner ended up legit getting hurt and all that, and he pitched me and him teaming together, and we kind of worked it out. I was the ultimate face up there. He's the ultimate heel, or they were the ultimate heels. They were like had this long run rivalry with another team, Holy Hell, for over a year, and it gets time to go for the belts, and his partner gets hurt, and he pitches me coming in because we were already riding together up there anyway and hanging out and the stuff. And I was like, well, just understand that no matter how much heel heat you've had this past year, soon as I walk out with you, you're a face, buddy.
Yeah. No, it's just
And
gonna
that's
happen.
exactly what happened.
I mean,
That's exactly what
I
happened.
guess the promoters were thinking it was gonna be like a JR Stone Cold thing. Damn you, Austin! Why? But it was the opposite. It was like, oh,
Mhm.
Ethan's cool now. Okay.
Look, they tried when we first became a team. They wanted to push us as, okay, so the main promoter up there, he owns a arcade,
Okay.
and there's an old arcade game called Carnival.
I played that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, he wanted us to that be our team name before we decide. Before I pitched the family affiliated, he wanted us to be Carnival and be a new heel tag team, and then do promos playing the game at the arcade Carnival. And I'm like, that is the cheesiest crap I've ever heard in my life. So no, we're not doing that. And he was like, well, what do y'all got planned? And I pitched the whole family affiliated deal, which a lot of people don't know this, but the family affiliated name and gimmick, even with Gluttony, started in the promo stuff, which you know the history on that. But the family affiliated was a thing before the wrestling, just like Rika was a thing before the wrestling.
Yeah.
And when me and Ethan tagged up and all of that went down and we won the tag titles, it it took off, man. And it got to a point to where, because our gimmicks are so different, a lot of tag teams, all they're trying to do is blend together, and it makes sense that our gimmicks are different.
That and it's historically some of the best teams and more successful teams have come from chance encounters like that. Like,
Right,
one of my
right.
favorite tag teams, and I know you know these guys too. Watching them growing up on TNA was Beer Money, and
Oh yeah,
that was literally a spot filler mid card match. They had a beer drinking cowboy named James Storm, and then basically like a rich Wall Street Ric Flair type guy in
yep.
Bobby Roode, and they were like, "We're not doing anything with those guys. These guys need an opponent. Just put them together." And
And it got over so much.
it was so but just because based off of just their wrestling skill alone.
Right.
And then I remember at the end of the thing they did like a little post match interview. Might have been on TV, or it might have just been like back in those days it was probably MySpace, but it might have been like a
Yeah.
social media thing only. But Bobby Roode said that one of them, I think it was James Storm. He goes, "Yeah, there's two things that make the world spin. That's beer and money." And they were like, "Wait, let's put
That's perfect.
let's keep these guys together. Let's call them that." And
Just hold
so
on to that.
and then years later you had again a spot filling team of Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, and that becomes the Dirty Dogs, and they win the
Yep.
tag titles in one night. So
Yep.
it was similar with you two, but you already had your faction idea coming, and you just plugged Ethan right
Well,
into the hole, and then there it was.
thing was, man, is we've had to explain this a lot of different times to promoters, because obviously looking at all of us as a unit, we look heel as crap. We're the epitome of what a heel team looks like. But once we explain it, like, we are out there literally telling everybody that watches us that it's okay to be weird. It's okay to be odd. It's okay to be bizarre. That's what makes the world go round, is being unique, being the weird guy, being the odd one, being told you're different and embracing it, not hiding behind it, but embracing it.
There you go.
And, you know, it is scary to see us and not talk to us. But once you get past the look alone, it's like, okay, I can vibe with these guys, because who doesn't have a flaw that they try to hide, you know, in one way, shape, or another. That's the world.
Yeah,
But
it's a very relatable thing you got going on there.
for real, and that is what I've tried pushing since the beginning. Even though a lot of different people's tried to push me heel, I want people to go, that's a weird dude. I've been told that since I was a kid. That's a weird guy. He's an odd fella. Well, let me go ahead and show you how odd that the rest of the world is. I'm not hiding behind the facade of being normal.
And if you don't believe how over this guy is, if you ever come to an indie show he's on, you're going to see he makes more than enough money to get home with in merch sales alone, man. Getting back to like your gear crafting and stuff, you have some fabulous, some crazy merch that you've pieced together, man. I mean, he's like a Walmart. To the point where he cannot haul his merch with us when we go. He has his friend Timmy has to bring his truck just to haul the merch.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Well,
Oh,
we in all reality, we don't make a whole killing starting out. First handful of years at least, it's hand to mouth. It's make a little bit, put a little bit in the gas tank, eat a bite, and get home broke.
yeah.
So we got to find a way to fill that gap somewhere. You can spend money to make money. That's business 101.
Yeah, and see me, I have. I'm sure you've run into this at some point where you have a great night at the table, and then you get home, you're like, I sold out of my merch, and then it sets in, and you're like, crap, I got to get new merch.
Well, that's the beauty of it all, is the fact that since day one, before Timmy started getting involved in the actual wrestling stuff, when he was just my merch guy, he was just selling my stuff. We had a deal that we broke it 3 ways every night, no matter what we made. If we made $75, it was 25 to him, 25 to me, and 25 to put back in merch.
Yeah,
And that's the way it's been since day one, and we've done it like that every time. And for the most part, we've kind of kept up outside when he was having his baby and stuff. He couldn't do the merch for a while, but for the most part, we've kept that same little swing going and kept our merch on the table. But that's just smart business when it comes to not spending everything you're making and not being able to make more in the future.
yeah, yeah. And me, I'm just a procrastination king over here. I will ride it until there is like two things left in the tub. That's just me.
Ethan is the procrastination king. I have forced, and I have put boots to butts 100 different times trying to get him on social media and give him every in and out. I love the man to death. He's a good fella. But the fact is I'm like, hey, I want us to make money. We're a team. Let's do this together.
Yeah,
You know, and I hate to be that guy, but when we first teamed up, I pitched to him. I said, I was already making pretty heavy moves, and I was like, this train's going forward, and I'd love for you to be able to hit your cart to it, but we got to do this together and be on the same wavelength. That's the way a tag team works. That's the way this is going to keep progressing.
yes.
And ever since then, man, he's been booking left and right, blowing and going, and he even went and bought a whole new van so we'd have a more comfortable ride to ride into.
There you go.
You
That's
know,
dedication.
I mean, legit, he has done a lot for this team, and like I said, I don't think I could have teamed with anybody that's more suited on idea wise to be like, Rika's got something going on. I'm gonna pitch my ideas to him. We're gonna tweak it a little bit, work on it a little bit, and at the end of the day, it's gonna be awesome.
Now it's really going to be awesome when eventually you get to the point where the promoter pays for you travel. That's the dream there.
Oh yeah.
Buy me a car, rent
Well,
me a car, buy me a plane ticket.
hey,
Yeah.
I can honestly say in April we got 2 back-to-back events that we're both getting hotels for and getting paid to wrestle. So
What
I'm
more could you ask for
slowly
there?
but surely climbing that ladder.
I've said before, probably my best one was for Norm Kaiser, Ultimate Victory Wrestling in Vernon, Florida. That was, he give us a gas allowance plus the fee plus the Airbnb. I'm like, I said,
Heck yeah.
I don't care if you have me working the Invisible Man. I mean, you call me back for this. You know,
Please.
yeah. So you know how hard it is to find. I mean, there's all kinds of people on the internet making jokes about it, saying, "I wonder how many hot dogs he got paid in." There's really people
Yeah.
out there that try to do that.
Oh yeah. Or don't try to pay you at all. Don't
I
try to give you nothing.
I worked a show. You weren't there with us, but we were very very green, like less than a year in, and it was one of our first outside bookings, and the promoter told us, I'm not going to embarrass him too, but I'm not going to throw his name out there, but he wanted us to come work last minute. And he calls Dapper Dan. He's like, I need to borrow some guys, and he's like, all right, I'll let my guys know. And we're like, oh, cool, a booking, let's go. And
Yeah, let's go.
he was like, it's going to be at a flea market. I'm like, whatever, sounds cool. We get there. What he failed to mention was it is a flea market business run out of someone's home. So we are in a yard. And
Oh wow.
yeah, we are in a yard. And there's a tent selling nachos and hot dogs. And he was like, well, I can come up with a little something, but this was really more of like a free entry thing. I'm like, wait. So we got to go get a free hot dog, and I'm like, this. I said the internet jokes are true. What? Yeah.
You got broke in right. They're like, I thought it was all for show.
Yeah, I thought that was just a gag. No, and then he pulled the classic. I'm gonna run to the ATM, and I'm like, we might as well pack
No.
up. We might as well
Yeah.
just leave. Sure. Actually, I give him his credit. He came back, and he gave it. I think we got like $20 each for that, and I was like, no, we're not doing this again.
Well,
So
my biggest thing with going to places like that, man, is if I've heard, hey man, I'm gonna cash app you. One time, I've heard it a dozen times.
hey man,
I'm,
it's weird. My wife got me locked out of my account. It
yeah,
ain't working. I got to call Verizon.
nope. Or one of those. Hey man, so I know we talked about this, but I didn't make much at the door, So
Well, whose fault is that?
right, I showed up.
Yeah.
What you made ain't my problem.
Yeah, really, and it's the age old thing of like you got to tell. My dad was a country musician and stuff, and he used to tell club owners this when they would book him to come be the night's entertainment. Before you really had DJs and stuff like they are now. If they
Right.
wanted a live band, he'd tell them like, "Look, if nobody shows up, that is your fault. Now,
Yeah.
if people show up and leave, then it's my fault." He goes,
Yeah. Exactly.
if I can't keep them in here, well, then I'm not playing good. But if nobody comes to begin with, that ain't got nothing to do with me and my money.
Because you didn't promote it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I used to, there's been a few times I've had, promoters put a show together and they reach out and find some good talent and they put me on it. And then they'll ask in the group text, like, so you guys got any tips for promoting? And I'm like, whoa, we're telling you how to promote like this. This is a red flag
Yeah.
already.
You should not have to ask your locker room.
Yeah, like brother, I should just be able to show up, get my pay envelope, and move on down the road. Like
Right.
I'm all for no, I'm all for paying dues and lending a helping hand, but to an extent,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
to an extent.
But
I
it's
mean,
a business. First off, you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
and again, I mean, I've the guy at Battlezone before I was the champion over there, and I was first coming in. He needed help with the ring, and he was like, "I'll give you an extra. I'll give you an extra 20." I'm like, "See, now, this is fair. This is fair.
Right.
You need help
Well, I
tearing
mean,
down your
the thing
ring."
is walking into places like that, man, and last year, prime example, last year I worked 52 matches, worked 52 basically every weekend last year. And I took a lot of crap payouts. And it wasn't the fact of, I was looking at the long-term picture, the bigger picture. Yeah. Did I come home broke every single time? Did I spend more money than I made? Of course I did. But long-term, that was a lot of experience that I let that little bit of money slide by for, so that when 2025 rolled around, I can start charging more. I can start doing more. My name's a little better. It holds a little more weight now, and locker rooms talk. A lot of independent wrestlers don't understand that. Social media is a thing. Facebook Messenger's a thing. You mess up in one locker room, all it takes is 2 seconds of a message, and you're, any company around that area is no longer going to book you.
Never take a pay cut unless it's like for charity or something. And even then, be careful because like you ask a new promoter like what's your fee, and let's just say for the sake of conversation, $250. Really? Because my brother-in-law's friend
Yep.
told me that you did it for $100. So you get trapped, and
Yep.
I was looking around online, and a guy that I before I was in the business myself, I used to watch all the time in MLW, Alex Hammerstone. He posted a really cool clip of him saying, paying your dues.
Wasn't he in Hurricane?
Yeah, he was in Beaumont, Texas, Hurricane Pro Wrestling
Okay,
at
that's
one
where I
point.
seen him at.
Yeah. big, beefy, jacked up guy, and he got on there, and he just left TNA, and he's in talks of going to NXT, which would be awesome. But he was saying in his video how, like, he says, I'm seeing too much of this. He says, showing up to the show for no pay, bringing your gear, and just asking for a pre-show match in exchange for tearing down the ring and putting out the chairs. He goes, there is a stage in your career where you have to do that. Me and you have both done that for places.
100%.
Yeah, and he says, but that phase shouldn't last that long. He says, if you're 4, 5, 6, 7 years in, and you're still showing up, just like, yes, sir, whatever you got, and I do it for free, just need the rep, well, then you're doing something wrong. He says, after you pay those dues, I'm not saying walk around like you're better than everybody, but once you pay those dues, your focus, he said this too, your focus should be on looking like a superstar, wrestling like a superstar, and cutting a promo. And then you don't have to do that. They're going to call you, or when you do inquire, they will book you because you have something that brings you. You're not just, oh, yeah, we'll help the kid out, as somebody to go pop popcorn for us. No.
See, what's funny, man, is online, you can pretty much present yourself as anything you want to. I've had multiple people, and they've even asked Ethan. They're like, "Hey, does Rick is a full-time wrestler, right? Because he don't have a regular job, Because I'm always posting stuff. I'm always out there. I'm always presenting myself, promos and videos, and putting out stuff every single day. So to the outside world looking in, I look like I'm in the road 24/7.
Yeah. I used to mess with people all the time. It'd be like, is wrestling your only job? I'm like, oh, I do make a lot of money. Not doing this. I actually sell shrimp out of a van,
Right.
on the way
down
up
by the
here.
river.
Yeah. And they're like, what? And then you just keep it going.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to the cutting the promo like a superstar, that was always been your biggest strong suit because you actually started doing online promo battles with people before your training even begun.
Oh, it got me 2 steps ahead. I ain't gonna lie. Being able to talk, just being able to talk and not fumble. Learning how to do that prior to the wrestling is really what got me comfortable, not only in front of the screen, but in front of people.
Yeah.
Just hand me a mic, let me go.
I can do that too, and I was one of the people that me and you were really the only two in class at UWE Academy that was able to just do that out of the gate, which made it a lot easier for both of us because now that's less we have to try to master. I mean, of course, you always want to get better. I mean, your promo. I'm sure your promos now. You watch your old stuff that when you were just a promo artist, you're like, oh God, this is way better.
So much better.
Yeah, but initially, Dapper Dan could trust us to go out there with a hot mic and eat time up, because we knew how to do it, So
a lot of wrestlers, man, that is their biggest flaw. Their biggest setback is not only learning how to be a character in the ring, but learning how to be a character off screen in the ring, in the back in an interview or cutting a promo wherever you're going to be at. Being able to talk in character and portraying that same charisma, that same vibe that you're putting in the ring, and not fumbling over your words and have to do 28 takes and all this kind of stuff. And being able to do that off the jump really gets you ahead of the curve, because it takes people years sometimes to learn that stuff. Ricochet, prime example. Dude's amazing wrestler, can't talk for nothing.
Yeah, there was a while there where he was just incredible wrestler, but his character was just kind of a guy,
Yeah.
Just like, okay, whatever, man.
Yeah, right. Cool.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
And can we do away for the rest of 25? Can we do away with the selfie style car promos? I'm not a fan of those.
Just car promos in general for the rest of time.
Yes.
I don't think you should have a phone being able to cut a promo with a phone in your car.
Like if it's a case where like you're working or you got family duties or whatever, and the promoter's like, I need it now. Well, then okay, if you get caught in a bind,
pull over.
Yeah.
Go to park in a parking lot.
Yeah,
anything.
I've been guilty of I did one time because I was in a time rush and I was like, God, this is terrible. I'm never doing this again.
I've seen people that are getting paid big money, like vets, like the dude for TNR. I can't remember his name. It's like something gun. Anyway, he was the OVW guy. Guy was a great person, great wrestler, all that good stuff.
Is it
But
Tommy
he cut his
Gunn?
promo on the way to the venue. No, it wasn't Bart Gunn.
Tony
He
Gunn?
Tony Gunn. Yeah,
Tony Gunn.
yeah. But he cut his promo on the way to the venue that night in his car. Just like had it setting up. He's driving down the road and he's not even looking at the camera. He's like, "Yep, tonight I'm doing stuff and things and yep." And great guy, but to me, that just car promos in general are very unprofessional.
Yeah. No. Well, case in point, you got the whole background set up right now. You got the lights blinking, you know.
I'm in my house. That's a backdrop back there, man. But put yourself in your own world. Make your presentation match your gimmick.
That's it. That's it.
You know,
100%.
same way with Gluttony the other day at the shed out in the yard. You know, it ain't got to be anything elaborate, but you can take your gimmick and make it fit the world. There's too many ways to do it nowadays with technology and everything else. There's too many easy ways to doing it.
Yes. Well, I can say you're definitely ahead of the curve. I definitely think you're going to make it to one of the big leagues before you have to hang it up, and hopefully I do too. And then we'll be having a very similar conversation in like 10 years when we're
Different
making
conversation.
the big money or bigger money. Yeah.
I'm gonna be live for that when I'm coming to the studio.
Yeah, come on in. Come on in. Well, folks, you can read more about Rika Wildlee in the current issue that's out now, Southern Wrestling Hot Topic and News. It's out now on Amazon, and then, of course, we have another one dropping end of April, beginning of May. Physical copies will be here soon this year. And, of course, be sure you follow Rika Wildlee right here. He's on Facebook. He's on Instagram. He's got his own merch on Southern Wrestling Pro Wrestling Tees.
Pro Wrestling Tees.
I do too, by the way. I don't plug that enough. Pro Wrestling Tees. You can buy my stuff there too. Yeah, I'm a piggyback. Yeah, so, anyways,
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, you name it, I got it, buddy.
he's on it. He's on it, man. Me, I'm more of an Instagram guy. I like Instagram, but Rick over here is like, give me all of them. So,
I don't know what promoters got what, so I'm in front of everybody.
There you go. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You never know. Folks, thank y'all for tuning in. Buy the magazine now on Amazon, and we'll see you next episode.
All right.